Hello again, welcome to Kimmel Bay Church's vlog. Today we continue with Glen Scrivener's book Reading Between the Lines, and we're in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 8, verses 1 to 13, if you want to catch up with us. And our study today is headed Outer Darkness. When we're given our subject and the study guidance for our vlog, I'm sure I'm not the only one who hopes it's going to be an uplifting study and one that builds you all up. Today should come with a warning. In fact, the whole study is a warning, so I hope you're ready. We're in Matthew, as I've said, chapter 8, following on from what we know as the Sermon on the Mount in chapters 5 to 7. Towards the end of chapter 7, Jesus warns the people against false prophets, those who preach what they think people want to hear. People who preach that you don't need to worry about sin or things you do wrong. God understands all of this. He wants you to be happy, not fretting about confessing to him. Wrong. Verse 21 tells us quite clearly that not everyone who calls out, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven. Only those who actually do the will of my Father in heaven will enter. Jesus' words. I read from Glen Scrivener's book. The Jews were insiders, the chosen race, the people of God. God tells us in Isaiah 49, verse 6, that he will make Israel a light for the nations, that his salvation may reach the ends of the earth. A light, a shining example of the Lord's grace and glory. It is Jesus would often say, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Judgment involves dramatic reversals. Those who believe they're guaranteed a place in heaven may find that they don't get in. They're cast out. And while those who are on the outside, the people who think they've no chance of getting in, are brought in. A shocking teaching. How many times have you heard, oh, I don't need to go to church. I live a good life. I never do anything wrong. I don't even need to believe in God. Today's reading from chapter 8. Jesus comes down the mountainside and is followed by large crowds. Suddenly a leper comes and drops to his knees before Jesus. Lord, if you are willing, you can heal me and make me clean. And Jesus reaches out to him and touches him, and he said, I am willing, be healed. And he was. Don't tell anyone, Jesus tells him. Well, that's a non-starter, isn't it? Of course he's going to tell people. He's overjoyed he's been healed. But Jesus didn't want to be overwhelmed by the crowds, demands being made on him when he had so much to do and so little time. And maybe he didn't want to incite those who were looking for an excuse to speak against him. He says to the leper, show yourself to the priest and offer the gift that the law of Moses commands. This was to offer 2 birds. One would be sacrificed and its blood sprinkled on the leper, and the other would be set free. Jesus was giving the priest his calling card. He's saying, someone has arrived carrying out the works of your long-awaited Messiah. Watch this space. When Jesus enters Capernaum, a centurion comes forward and says, Lord, my servant is lying paralyzed at home, suffering terribly. And Jesus said, I'll come and heal him. But the centurion says, oh no, Lord, I'm not worthy to have you come under my roof. Only say the word and my servant will be healed. Jesus, we're told, marveled at this and said, truly, I tell you, with no one in Israel have I found such faith. I tell you, many will come from the east and west and recline at the table with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven, while the sons of the kingdom, meaning the Jews, will be thrown into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth. And then he said to the centurion, go, let it be done for you as you have believed. And the servant was healed at that very moment. Outer darkness. I've been asked, do you believe in hell? And if you do, what do you think it's like? Well, many people believe in heaven and hope they're going to get there when they die, but they don't want to believe in hell. And the Bible teaches us that it is a real place to which the wicked and those who don't believe are sent. Matthew 25:41 speaks of eternal fire. In Mark and Luke and in the book of Revelation, there are verses which speak of torment and fire and explain what hell's like. But my answer to the question is always, for me, hell is a place where God isn't. This study says, just picture it, no light, no warmth, no place, no belonging, no company, no hope. The Jews believe that they will one day sit at a great feast in heaven with their patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob at the center. It was their birthright. They are the sons of the kingdom. But Jesus says, no, you won't accept that I'm the Messiah spoken of in your scriptures. You don't believe in me. You've rejected me. You'll be outside the kingdom. They were God's chosen people, and they refused to accept him. So as Jesus went to the Gentile areas where they did listen, the people, Gentiles, not Jews, we are Gentiles, they were looked down on. They were outsiders. Yet many of them believed when they'd heard Jesus. The good thing is that we know today that some Jews have believed too. They believe that Jesus is their long-awaited Messiah. Not a lot of them, but there are some, and they're known as Messianic Jews. The leper was an outsider. The very nature of his disease made him an outsider, yet his faith in Jesus brought him inside. The unclean was made clean simply by coming to Jesus. The centurion was a Roman soldier, a Gentile, the enemy, the occupier, hated, an outsider. But he trusted Jesus, and his servant was healed. The study says with Jesus, the very worst and furthest from God are brought home. Without Jesus, the very best and nearest to God can be shut out forever. The issue isn't our pedigree, it isn't our piety, and it isn't our performance. The only thing to have is Christ himself, and we have him by inviting him into our lives. If you don't want him, then you don't want the light of the world. To reject Jesus is to prefer darkness. The end of the study says, and so we see the inevitability of hell. It's inevitable because where else will you go? Where are you going to go if you will not have Jesus? If he is life, then to reject him must mean death. If he is love, to reject him must mean disconnection. If he is light, then to reject him must mean outer darkness. Well, this seems unconscionably tragic. Nothing could be fairer. Nothing could be more inevitable. Outer darkness is an inevitable reality for those who would be Christless. But today, take heart. The alternative is Christ. He's freely offered to anyone who reaches out to him. In John 3, verse 16, we read, "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life." If you haven't already done so, ask him in your life today. Don't be left outside the kingdom of heaven at the end. Thank you for listening. God bless you.